forgot to turn this on. This is my microphone. Sorry about that. Just remember the last second. Hopefully everyone can hear me. If you can, let me know. It's 24 degrees Celsius in the workshop today, so I am sporting the t-shirt, which is a little unusual for me. Usually I have my overalls on, but it's a bit warm for that. Plus, I'm not doing any gluing at the moment. So what am I doing? Well, if you've read the title, I'm making a leather bangle. So this is a leather jewelry item. This isn't for a video course. This is actually for what's known as a pattern project on the website. And pattern projects are not videos. They are image and text tutorials with a step-by-step guide on how to create a specific item. And so far we've got travel watch cases in there. We've got the mini pen trunk, which is a pen holder in the shape of a vintage trunk. What else is there? The impossible slip wallet, which is a card wallet with an interesting design. I think there's something else in there and I forget what it is now. For some reason I keep catching that. So this is a Alligator bangle. It has a steel core on the inside, just like this, which is designed for jewelry making, so it eventually gets bent round into shape for a bangle. Not for me, alas. I wish I could get away with it, but you can buy them in different sizes as well, and you can wrap them with whatever you like. And on the inside, I have a goatskin lining. It probably doesn't look it on here, but this is a very, very soft shade of pink. I'll put it next to a white tissue. We might be able to see this pure white tissue. Soft shade of pink, and the alligator on the front, as you can see there, is also a soft shade of pink. So it kind of matches, with the goat skin being a bit more comfortable on the inside, I imagine. Hello, Paco from La Rochelle in France. Bonjour, mon ami. Bienvenue. I keep getting caught on this clamp. Don't know why that is. So once I've stitched this fully in, I can then trim it up to size on the exterior, give it a nice edge crease, then add a little bit of edge paint, probably some contrasting edge paint to match the thread, which I've gone with, show you the actual spool. Fil Chumois, which is in 632 in Rouge. Which is not exactly like a red. That's probably a bit more of this tape is a bit more of a standard red. This has like almost like a fuchsia shade to it. Slightly pinky, so I think it matches the pink a little bit better. I think it's good on screen having something like that's a true version of a color to compare something with that actually works. The second time I've done it on the live, and we're only what, less than 4 minutes in. Look at that. So I am not stitching this with a cast in this instance because there's no real need. We can get a little bit more of an angle. I mean, we're working with thin leathers and we're working with alligator, so you're never going to have, you know, the most beautiful hand-stitched high angles that you would expect from some thick veg tan. But if you don't cast, you tend to add a little bit more decorative angle on the front side, on the face side. Being as this is going to be a bangle, it's not really going to be seen when in use or out in the wild. So there's no real reason to add a cast. So that's why I'm not doing it here. And if any of you do have any questions, feel free. I know for the most of the world, it's probably the middle of the workday. I'm going to move this up a little bit now. A little bit further forward. That metal strip, which is stainless steel, which is what I recommend, does a pretty good job of holding everything still as I'm stitching this, which is nice. And if you are going to make these, and they are actually a very popular item, if you check out things like Etsy, notonthehighstreet.com, Craftsy, and other websites where people sell their craft work, these bangles are actually very popular for people to sell. And they're not particularly complicated to make. This is a very simple project. Doesn't have to involve exotic skins or anything special. It's these are 6 inches long, so it's not really going to require very much, like the thickness of a ruler worth of leather, just to try it out. Not too tight on that stitch, because there's no real need. Ooh, it's warm in here today. So far, I'm really liking the color combination. So what I'm going to have to do is try and match the fuchsia color of the red stitch with some edge paint at the end. So I have to see what I'm going to add to red to give it that shade, because the red edge paint, the standard one that I have, is a very true red. And I think if we add that, it might not match the stitch perfectly. So we'll have to see. I might just do the first layer in red and see what that's like before kind of giving it a sand. And if it doesn't match, I'll have to just doctor a little sample of red edge paint. It gives it fuchsia. There's the tiniest little bit of purple, so it might need like half a drop of blue or something like that. But I'll have to double check online what actually makes fuchsia, what constitutes fuchsia. Because there's just the tiniest hint of purple in it, but not very much. So it might just be a couple of drops of white, half a drop of blue or something like that. It usually does it. Maybe I'll ask AI. See what it comes up with. So coming to the end of this section, and then we're going to kind of stitch around the curve and make our way all the way back. So it's one continuous seam all the way around rather than two. Going around that stainless steel curve. So I'm interested to see how this bends around. So I've had to modify the stretch and compression of each side of the leather while it's on straight to compensate for what's going to happen to it when it gets bent around a form. because the outside is obviously going to stretch and the inside is obviously going to compress. So we have to kind of manipulate the skins prior to gluing down. Otherwise you're going to get creases on the inside, and the exterior, well, could potentially overstretch it. At the very least makes it weak. Hey Phil, I'm watching your course and I wanted to get some thread. We're using linen, barbers, and sometimes wuta. I find the fil chinois sizes a bit confusing. What threads would you recommend? Well, I mean, I'll take the confusion out for you. I'll get a sample of sizes. So 632, let's get a 532, and let's get a 432. Okay, so let's accurately measure them and see what they come out. I never remember what they are. So let's put them in order. Okay, 632, 532, 432, and 332. So you can watch this back after the fact because it's going to be on YouTube permanently. So you can get your pen and paper ready. These are the most common sizes. I think you can actually get 832, though I wouldn't trust it down to that level. Unwaxed. Okay, when you add wax, you add just a fraction more. So 632, we are looking at an average of 4.4 millimeters, 4.4, 4.45, probably 4.45 after waxing. Okay, so 0.44 millimeters for 632. This might be in a mirror image. Let's go 532 and see what that is. So this 632 will correspond to your kind of 0.45 millimeter wax polyester. So this is the next one. So this is 532. So this is the next size up. And there might be minor variances between batch to batch, but such is a natural product. Between 4.7 and 5.1. So I would say we could call this after waxing 0.5. So it's gone up half a millimeter. 0.05 of a millimeter. Okay, next one up is 432. No idea what these measurements are in inches. Apologies, America. 0.54 millimeters, 0.55, 0.54. So after waxing, 0.55 for 432 fil chinois. These random numbers are based on weights and lengths, which I've never been a fan of. When it comes to measuring thickness of leather or threads. But unfortunately, that's what we're working with here. And finally, 332 fil chinois. 6.2, 6.4, 6.2. Moving up to 6.5, so a bit more variance on this one. I'd say after waxing, this would be 0.65 as a final measurement. So those are the metric measurements of the very old school system of using these weight measurements for thread. I do forget what it actually means, but it's a length and how much it weighs and that kind of thing. But they seem to be quite close to the standard metric measurements of leather crafting thread in polyester of 0.45, 0.5, 0.55, 0.6. So it kind of does follow that a little bit. So if you missed any of that, or you're just tuning in now, that you can when this is uploaded, you can go back and have a look at that. But there will be probably minor variances from batch to batch between linen threads. Hot where you are, but in Edinburgh is Baltic and rainy for 3 days now. Well, yes, that's what you get for being in Edinburgh, buddy. But yeah, you asked for recommendations of thread. I'd say get samples of all the major companies and try and see what you like best. I mean, I could say in my experience, I like Fil Chinois, but I buy it because I love the story and the history of it, not because it's the practical best buy. If you were to run them through a bunch of tests under scientific laboratory settings, I doubt it would win many competitions. But I don't buy it for that. But I don't do leathercraft for its scientific or analytical, methodical reasons. I do it because it's something that I love to do, and it's without sounding corny, it comes from the heart. So that's why I choose Fil Chinois. I love the fact that they've been going for almost 200 years, and they're still using some of the same machines that are 200 years old in France. And I kind of like that. And I like the history behind Barber thread. And, some of these old ones. This is a vintage piece. This is older than I am. I managed to find these on eBay. I'm not exactly sure, but of the age, but they haven't looked like this for a very long time, and that is unopened. I just love that. It's cool, and I can say, Barber's thread from all that time ago was better quality than it is now. Better quality, as in more consistent. But a lot of the work and the sorting of the flax to make linen was done by hand by very skilled individuals, so it's no surprises. So yeah, my recommendations would be what I choose with the heart rather than the mind. But the best thing you can do is try and get samples from different companies, try out their threads, and see what gives you the results that you're looking for. It is probably the best advice I can give you. With regards to polyester, though, they're all much the same, I find. Cable polyester, whether it's Wuta, whether it's Artisan Soul, whether it's various different companies, they all kind of feel similar to me. I wouldn't be surprised if the same factories are making it. Christ, Joel Shetty says, hi. Hello. Hope you guys are doing well today. Is everybody at work at the moment like I am, or are you off today? It's Thursday today, isn't it? Yeah. So I've glued this alligator skin down with the lining on the table and the alligator facing upwards. And so what that gives me when I bone it down with the bone folder is a bit of an edge, bit of a lip. So there's a step down, and right at the step down is where we are stitching the seam. So it keeps that kind of 3D profile, which is quite nice. And it also protects the threads from wear, because anything that goes over the bangle will be missing the threads. So it affords a little protection, almost as if you created a groove for it. But it adds a little bit more 3D visual interest when on the wrist. So no need to reinforce this because, of course, we have our steel core, stainless steel core. And I've gone for stainless steel because, you know, things can get wet. You wash your hands, your bangle's there, it gets a bit wet. It goes through the leather to the metal underneath. You don't want it reacting or rusting, which could discolor the skins above or below and coming through. Even though I'm using a glue that's basically waterproof and does provide a little bit of a barrier between the exterior skin and the lining and the steel core itself. You don't really want to trust that as a waterproof barrier. It might be water resistant, but it's not waterproof. That's probably why I wouldn't recommend using a strip of other metal like brass, which might be a little bit soft. I find steel for this kind of thing. I've made these in the past for customers, mainly at requests. It has stainless steel has a bit more of a springy action to it, so you can get it on your wrist and it opens out and accommodates. Whereas metals like brass and aluminium, I find don't have as much spring in them, if you know what I mean. As if you open them out too far, they can kind of become larger. You kind of overstretch them, as it were. I forget the name. There's a term for that. Kind of passing its threshold of springiness. But you can't use spring steel either because that will rust. And not only that, if you try and bend spring steel, it's going to want to come straight back. So stainless steel, I think it's 3 or 4 stainless steel is a bit of a compromise there. Gives you the best of everything, really. It's just a touch heavier, but I don't think there's not a lot of mass to it, so I don't think it makes much of a difference. But these are really fun to make, you know. If you're a guy and you want something less dainty than this, which it will be after cutting, you know, you can get something a bit larger. You can get something in, you know, a nice brown alligator or something like that. Do a nice yellow contrast thread. They're pretty popular. Another popular one is using these to kind of match the dial color of a watch that someone's wearing or the watch strap that someone has on, or contrasting. You can kind of play with, you know, what's on your wrist already, or the color of a gem in a ring. So coming to the end here, guys. It's only been 25 minutes. That's how long it takes to stitch. Good. Right, so I'm at the end of this now, so I need to grab my camera again and start taking more pictures for the tutorial. But yeah, if you're interested in more information about this, this will be for a pattern project. Very simple one. This is really aimed at beginners and people just want a fun project to do. I know a lot of beginners who buy a lot of scrap leather to kind of play around with things and make small items, and this is absolutely perfect for that. So this will be trimmed up in due course. So this is pink alligator on here and like a baby pink goat skin on the inside. So once I've finished off this, we'll be marking this, trimming it to size, and then edge finishing, and then finally bending it around its final form to create that bangle shape. So this will be up as a pattern project. And for those of you who are new to it as well, leathercraft in general, there's still a free tutorial on leathercraftmasterclass.com. So when you go there, there's a pop-up that comes on screen with me doing something like that. And just put your email address in and I'll send you a video on hand stitching. So it gives you an idea of how to hand stitch and how I hand stitch. So if you want to watch that, whether you're beginner or advanced, it's always good to refresh as well. I bought one of your courses 3 years ago. At the same time, my wife had a baby. Oh, no. Terrible timing. Did you buy it while she was pregnant? Yeah, it's an eye-opener how much time they take up. I never got to do your class, so we'll get there one day. Enjoy your work. Thank you very much. Thank you for saying hi. And to all of you who are watching this, thank you for stopping by and saying hello. I really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next live. Keep your notifications on. If you're not following me, do so, and you'll know when I go live so you can come and chat. In the meantime, there's nothing wrong with, if you have any leathercraft questions, storing them up. And next time you see me going live, you could just unload all your questions on me and I'll be happy to help. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.